Well, let's talk about your guitars in this video. We're going to make a different video then, but because we're chatting and so chatty and wonderfully conversive, let's talk about your guitars.
Just hung this on the wall, and somebody was going down the wall doing a thing where they just strum the strings and listen, and they strummed mine and listened to it, and it's like, no. I just did a gig on this.
Definitely not. Not the guitar for me.
I was rude. Anyway, don't worry, Marvin. I don't know what they're fucking talking about.
So this is Marvin, right?
You have to bleep me, I'm sorry.
Bleeping Jon Gomm.
Okay,
Marvin.
Yeah. This is Marvin, yeah, my JGM-10. This is the main one that I've been, you know, this is my workhorse. So they gave me 2 originally of the kind of finished production models of countless prototypes. But yeah, this is the kind of one that I've been allowing myself to scratch and bash, and the other one I've kept all lovely and new, but that will probably get scratched and bashed before too long as well. But yeah, this one's called Marvin. The other one's called Colin, which is Marvin is the depressed
Paranoid
robot.
android, yeah.
Exactly. People don't necessarily remember Colin, who's the irrepressibly cheerful android from Hitchhikers.
Yeah, the alter ego, not alter ego, but the other programmed droid.
Yeah, he's just programmed by accident. Well, just for anyway, it doesn't matter. I won't get into that. I am a geek though, but
I'm sure there's a Wikipedia somewhere you can do that. Fine.
Yeah.
Did Marvin, start looking like this?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, so this is like 18 months of playing, so it's not relics or anything. It's just 18 months of me playing it. So if I played this for 18 months, it would look the same. The finish took a lot of work to develop. So the finish on the top of these guitars is, even though it's black, it's actually very, like a very natural, how to describe it? It's like kind of clings to the wood. It's quite thin and soft. If you look really, really closely, you can kind of see it's got a weird luster to it, and you can slightly see the grain through it. It's very subtle. It's very, very hard to see it. But yeah, after a very short amount of time, if you scratch it with your nails or a plectrum, it will wear. If you don't, it won't. But yeah, so the finish was a lot of work. The finish on the back and sides is like a gloss finish, and that's a sound thing as much as a looks thing. It really brings out the wood beautifully. But
are you telling me now, we've just done a cable thing, are you telling me that gloss paint makes it sound
totally different?
Oh,
you're talking to an acoustic, you're talking to an acoustic guitarist. This is a different world. So if you think about the difference that wood makes to the sound, okay, so this is Pau Ferro, which is a little bit similar to rosewood sound. I find it a little bit richer. I prefer it. It's like a different mid-range, kind of throatier. But it's so all different woods sound different on acoustic guitar. And then if you think of the difference between this finish, which is like weighs nothing, and this finish, which is like an extra layer of glass, it's almost like you're laminating the wood with an extra like wood laminate, you know, because it's this really thick finish. And the idea with an acoustic guitar, the physics of it is a bit like the physics of a snare drum. You want the front to vibrate. You don't want the sides to vibrate because you just lose sound.
Right.
And there's no benefit to that. The back is a bit more of a grey area. It's like you can want it to vibrate,
brown.
but not all right, but not but not too much. And also, if the sides are stiffer, then it's more. When I retune, it's more stable because the whole guitar will bend as the strings slacken or tighten, not just the neck. With an acoustic guitar, it's very different to the electric world. So yeah, the finish is one of the most important things on an acoustic guitar. You would be amazed. So yeah, but it took like 3 years to develop the guitar, and 2 years and 11 months of that was the finish. No, not really, but
I strangely would have believed that.
But it did take a lot of work to develop the finish for the top, because
it's also bigger, right?
Unique.
It's a
huge guitar, yeah. So it's a really big guitar. So because they sound different. I like the sound of a big guitar. You can make a very big guitar that doesn't have any bass, like a big kind of strummy cowboy guitar that's enormous, but actually there's not much bottom end in it. But it's much easier to get loads of sub kind of bass frequencies out of a big guitar. But we did something where I did a load of research about whether guitars need to be symmetrical or not. I did a load of asking questions of luthiers and even a physicist. And
go on.
And they don't. So most acoustic guitars, the shape is basically 2 circles, a big circle and a little circle. But this one it's shallower here and wider here. It bulges this way. And the waist is not straight. So if you, I don't know if they can see, but there's a strut inside. And in most guitars, that brace, it goes straight across. In my guitar, it goes down. It's on the wonk, exactly. So it's an asymmetrical body. And it's weird because it's an Ibanez. And I'm a big Ibanez fan from being a shredder back in the day. And it's like that kind of Joe Satriani Strat. I said Strat. You can't say S-T-R.
You can't, but I can. I can say Strat.
But that kind of pseudo, Strat shape that he has, but it's kind of like a melted Strat shape. It's like an asymmetrical.
The S series, right?
Yeah. So it's that different body shape, and I was kind of inspired by that a little bit as well. And so even though it's really big, because it's slimmer up here, you can play it. It's not like you're not like this trying to reach with it's a drag to do that with a huge guitar. So it's one of the many weird things about this guitar that we.
It really is a signature guitar, isn't it? It really is the guitar you obviously play and really is built for you.
Yeah, that's why when they asked me to do it, that's why I did it, because it wasn't like, come and put your name on this guitar.
Right.
It was, here's a blank sheet of paper. We think that there is, a market there for progressive fingerstyle. So the same thing that you might associate Ibanez with from late 80s, early 90s, and through to now as well, but I'm talking about my own kind of musical history really and what I know about it. So I associate them with, I used to get the guitar catalogue and put it on and cut out the pictures and put them on my bedroom wall. I'd be like Steve Vai, Paul Gilbert, Joe Satriani, Frank Gambale, Jennifer Batten, Red Beach. I could go on, and the jazz guys, Pat Metheny, George Benson, John Scofield, and it was all these progressive guitars, like really original, kind of futuristic almost, that were built for super kind of technical playing to make that easier or even possible.
Yeah.
And they said, we think we can do this with acoustic guitar. We want you to design it with us, and here's a blank sheet of paper. Let's go. And that's just such an incredibly rare and exciting prospect to get to do that. So, yeah, it was cool.
I'm pleased for you, and I'm pleased that the guitar world is embracing that. And then we get other more interesting, not just another copy. Ibanez, I'm a massive Ibanez fan. It's not just because Dan is my friend. They are guitars that when I pick one up, I know that I will get a reliable instrument, and that's often rare.
Yeah, people tell me that. I've had people say, "Oh yeah, I never get a bad one." So that's a good thing, that they have good kind of quality control.
I played ones that aren't as good as others.
Get out. You're at the Ibanez booth right now. Okay.
Can I come back?
Welcome to the chat.
They can't hear you.
Yeah.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but would you do something for us that could just...
Oh, fuck. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I just want to put you on the spot. I've not tuned it since the gig last night. I don't even know. I've got no idea what tuning that is, so...
When you do it, would you turn that way?
It's so out of tune.
It doesn't matter.
No, it does. I can't. Just so horrible. I'll demonstrate the drums.
Go on.
There you go. They're never out of tune, right? So that was one thing that we did with the guitar was, so the bridge. Okay, it's really fun. So I'm not a fan of multi-scale guitars myself, and you can get multi-scale acoustic guitars, fan fret acoustic guitars. I totally get why they're good. I'm not dissing them, but for me personally, I'll just tell you why, right? Everyone knows this chord. It's called F, right? Everyone hates it because they remember the pain of learning it when they were... For me, I was 6 years old trying to learn an F bar chord on a little 3/4 size classical guitar. And I did it. I fucking could learn it. It took a lot of work and pain and, wrist alterations. But I respect that kid too much to own a guitar where you cannot play F because the frets are like this. It's kind of... And that's a silly story, but it's like a multi-scale guitar, for me, isn't a normal guitar. I know that sounds odd because I'm so progressive and want to innovate, but I'm actually really conservative in some ways.
Okay.
It's hard to describe.
It's a different instrument, isn't it?
It's just it is
different.
Too much for me.
It's not just they've changed the guitar,
Yeah.
they've created something that's new.
I love the idea of them, but it's just not quite for me. However, when I played them, one thing is that the bridge, it has to be angled like that. And I thought, well, on an acoustic guitar, the saddle is always angled anyway, So you have the bridge straight across, and so does the bridge actually have to be straight? And so I was talking about it with Ibanez, and they said, well, no, there's no actual reason. So my bridge is angled just slightly like that, which does two things. It opens up this space, and it opens up this space, because these are the two places where we do our kick drums in the kind of modern fingerstyle world. We have this kick drum and this kick drum down here. And so I've loosened up the wood in those spaces by moving the bridge. So there's more room for those, and they sound a little deeper. So it's all these, that is my one favorite little design innovation about this guitar, because it's just so small, so kind of insignificant, and people might buy the guitar, own it, and not realize. Even if they're actually doing the kick drum sounds and benefiting from that improvement, then it's so subtle they might not notice.
But that's a good thing, isn't it? Because when things just work and you don't even necessarily understand why or care why, if it just works, then it takes the barrier away from having to do a thing and be creative. It makes it easier from the learning to the creating.
Absolutely.
part.
I was talking to somebody about that, about how much they were saying how when I was saying I need a guitar to be a certain way really for me. I don't want to just play any guitar because I don't feel like I can play so well. Because if it's not set up how I want it, it's not the right kind of guitar, I can't play so well. And they said, yeah, I think, you learn what you want about a guitar and then the guitars have to conform to you. And then I thought, yeah, but when you're a kid, it's the opposite. When you're learning, it's the opposite. You conform to the guitar.
Yep.
And the biggest example of that is if you have a bad guitar that is really hard to play, you probably quit. So you really conform to the guitar, to the absolute degree, So it's really important that guitars work. And they don't know they're born these days. Now, my first guitar, my God, should we have that?
I didn't know if we were going to go there.
But no, let's not.
Let's just say,
they were so bad.
Be thankful for the guitars you have.
Oh God, it was so hard to play. Oh God, but yeah, so it's been a real kind of journey developing this with Ibanez. I've learned a lot about making guitars and how they work, and they let me try pretty much anything that I wanted to try design-wise. They were pretty bold. Don't worry about it, it's fine. No, honestly, it's fine.
I'm really sorry I put my bag there to stop you walking through. I'm so sorry.
Anyway, I think we're doing good. It's a busy show. I think we're doing good.
We did pretty well until then. It was because we talked about guitars, how lucky they are.
So anyway, I'm going to tell you, JGM10, JGM5, which is about half the price. It's very similar. It's the same pickup system, but it's the JGM10 is like handmade. Takes weeks in a workshop by luthiers, takes an incredibly long time, whereas the JGM5 is produced faster. That's really, because people ask what's the difference, because the specs look the same.
Yep.
It's like, well, acoustic guitar isn't always about specs, it's the time specs too. So yeah, I know the materials and stuff and the specs seem the same. So with the JGM5 you do get something that I could easily gig.
Right.
But it's the JGM10 is just that kind of luthier experience. So it's
extra little percentages on top that take so much time.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, so it's a big deal for me. But I hope people get a chance to try one, or are at least interested in kind of the design, and gives them ideas for what they might want in a guitar themselves.
I hope so too.
Cool.
And I just want to say thank you to the people that didn't walk in front of the camera, because they don't get any credit, do they?
Let's go around and thank them all individually now.
We shall. And while we do that, you can watch the rest of the videos on the Guitar Summit 2022 playlist, and go and check out this man's music and his guitar by using the links in the video description below. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Andy.
Bye-bye.